Hi and welcome. My name is Laura. Welcome to the Equestrian Skill Builders live broadcast with me, Laura, where we discuss riding position topics and share ideas and exercises to help you or your riders. If you'd like to improve your riding and training, win more ribbons at your next horse show, and who doesn't like to do that, or generally like other horsey related stuff, then you're in for a real treat today because I think some of the things we're going to be discussing today and the exercises we'll share will change your riding forever in a good way. Guest hosting with me today is Laura King of Summit Hypnosis and Wellnes. Hi, Laura, and welcome.
Hi, everybody. Nice to be here.
Yes, so we were talking a bit before we started, and Laura was telling me she's coming from Florida. Now, what's the weather like down in Florida, Laura?
Well, I'm in the middle of Florida right now, and it's raining.
Good temperatures?
A little bit warmer.
Yeah. So Laura is sought after by Olympians, leading edge CEOs, public figures, professional athletes, prominent physicians, award-winning trainers, and parents. She has appeared on the Rachel Ray Show and has been a guest on local television and radio shows across the country. Through these appearances and working with clients, Laura teaches individuals how to utilize their minds to make lasting changes in both their performance and their lives. In her book, The Power to Win, you've got the book there, The Power to Win. There we go. Awesome. In her book, The Power to Win, King explains how the use of hypnosis and NLP, which we're going to discuss. What's NLP? What do those letters mean?
Neuro-linguistic programming. It's actually a tool of using your brain.
With an NLP can easily help anyone conquer fear, build confidence, and obtain unprecedented success. Thank you, Laura, for being here. That's a lot to share with us today, and I'm very excited that you're going to do that.
Yes, I'm happy to share this to help more people.
Yeah. And me, I am Laura Kelland-May. I help people improve their riding and training. I'm a competition coach, specialist, high performance trained, and an Equestrian Canada Senior Judge, hunter, jumper, Equitation and hack, and a senior steward, and also produce live equestrian related videos on Facebook and YouTube. So welcome. Wow. Yay. We're here. We made it. We're live and we've got some comments already. So let's take a look to see. Oh, is that you to see what's going on in the comments? Okay. That's all the stuff that we've been putting in there. Excellent. So if you do have comments or questions, please put it in the comment section, because we do love to have comments and questions and answer it. And if we're not answering your question or talking about what you want to talk about, please put it in the comments. We don't mind having questions. So what we're going to be discussing today, Laura, is what happens when you get nervous or lose confidence. Can you explain what kind of happens?
What I'd like to teach is about the brain and what we know. When you have nerves, it's actually a thought that you have to have first. Then your nervous system does what it needs to do to activate you to protect yourself. We're kind of as human beings, we have a nervous system that is attached to us to save us, to rescue us. It's our self-preservation. What we know in sports, and especially with horses and riding, there's so many facets. What I'd like to teach more about right now is the brain, because everything functions from the brain. So the way we look at that is the conscious mind that we're talking on is 12%. That is your analytical, rational reasoning, thinking mind. In the 12%, it is your short-term memory. 2 + 2 is 4, your quick thinking, and it's your willpower. If you think about, you want to make a change, let's say you're nervous about going to a competition. Then you have that mindset that the nerves are activated. And your willpower, I want to change that, but if willpower is only in 12%, how do we do that? So I love to educate people about how 88% of the brain is your hard drive.
Now we've
just
got
like
a picture of that, right? So should we show that or?
a great idea. Because if we can get an image, it's like an iceberg is what a lot of people show. So 12% is that functioning brain. 88 is the hard drive that you have on a computer. So that's your habits, your emotions, your long-term memory, and your self-preservation. So if you think about making a change and you're working in the 12% and decide to do it, it has to kind of be able to be programmed into the 88%. What does that mean about nerves and self-confidence? Are you a confident person in everything else you do? One of my favorite questions to ask is, why do you ride? That's a good question. 90%, 98% technically, ride because they love horses and they love competition. They love becoming good at what they do. So it's building an unconscious competence to do it. When we attach a nervous system to it, there are all kinds of triggers and variables that can cause you to have a different response than the one you want. So we want to really think about that just for a minute. And I want you to think about, are you confident in other areas of your life? When we build the confidence, what we're really doing is adding a competent level of skill that you become confident with. When you're there, the nervous system feels good about it. I mean, most of y'all drive a car. If you're younger than 16, you might not yet, but you do something, ride a bike. But let's use a car. When you drive it and you know you're going to the store, do you need a road map? No, you get in the car and you drive there because your unconscious competence knows what to do. When you park it, do you get out and measure the space before you pull in, or you just trust you pull in? You park it because your unconscious mind has the competence to do it. So I like to teach that we can build that competence with the confidence by using hypnosis. And that's what I love, to educate people why it works. There's another really neat slide that I have. Do you want to put the one up with the head and all the information?
Yep.
Just and then I can a second here. Go in and tell you how you have, yeah. Because what creates nerves? Let's really think about this. It affects all parts of you. So your brain, actually, this is a really good, these are for handouts, y'all. Everybody can download these so you can use them and learn more by
we'll put the link in the
technically
comments.
Everything you
for downloading.
Technically, everything you see, hear, smell, taste, touch is neutral till it goes in your brain. Think about that. If it's neutral before you have a reaction to it, what does that mean? That means you have a programming process in your brain, a processor that's always solutionizing. Because of the solution process of the brain, we want to know how it's reacting. So inside of the mindset, we are elevating that inner thought process of what that looks like. So your core value system is your belief systems, your values, your languages. It also has your memories. It has your time coding, where you think you should be at a certain time. Are you matching up to that? And it has all of the meta programs. Those are the things that cause you to have a response. As soon as you go, something is felt, goes into the activator of the brain, it filters it, whether it deletes, distorts, or generalizes. When it does that, you get an internal representation, a state, and a reaction, which gives you your behavior. And if there's a nervous mindset, if you're nervous about the first jump or the dressage test or whatever it is, you're going to have a reaction. Now, how can we change that? Well, we know stress, worry, and anxiety has an impact on it. So here's the simple part, and I make it easy. Now, this is what I really want you to catch here. We change your triggers so that every time you sit in your saddle, we hypnotize you, I relax you into relaxing every time you sit in the saddle. That opens up your channels for peak performance. That opens up your channels for your personal best. And that's technically what we do. Now, we want to rewind here just a tad bit, because since I'm a hypnotherapist, I'd like to really say what that is. It's just relaxation.
I was thinking,
it's the same meditation.
When I spoke with you before, I said, when I think of hypnosis, you say you're a certified hypnotist. I think of going to the Las Vegas show, and that's what I think of. Not exactly what you're talking about, of using the processes to help calm your mind, but rather to as a Vegas show.
As a fun thing. Technically, those shows can be fun, but there is not a human being on the face of the earth that can be hypnotized for something they do not want. Trust me, if I could do that, my business would even be bigger, because people come and make me stop smoking. I can't make anybody do anything. You have to want it. You have to want the change. You have to have the desire. So we really must learn that the word is not a dirty word, and it doesn't mean I'm going to do something weird or funky to you. It's a word that is a tool. It's a tool in a tool chest. So when you close your eyes, technically, when you worry, you're hypnotizing yourself. You make that mountain out of a molehill. That's your imagination being stronger than knowledge. Because the three natural laws of the mind are: you are what you think, a thought creates a physical reaction, and your imagination stronger than knowledge. So when you make that mountain, what I say is I'm a facilitator to help you make a molehill out of the mountain, because our brains need to hear another voice. So we hear our own voice all the time ruminating.
So you said your imagination is more powerful than your knowledge. So if I am, let's say I'm golfing. If I imagine my ball doing a hole in one, that is more powerful than me having the knowledge of actually how to do a golf swing.
Now that's people do get hole in ones a lot, but you still have to have the mechanics of how to do it. I can't take you as a rider and give you a donkey and have you never ridden dressage and hypnotize you to do a Grand Prix. No, I can't make you learn how to play piano. Dang. If you haven't had a piano lesson.
Well, that's too bad.
What your metaphor you just said is a good.
Yes.
Wait a minute, Laura. If that one you just said about the golfer, if the golfer's worried about the pond or worried about the sand, their brain's most likely going to hit the ball in the water or the sand.
Okay, I'm just going to say, I'm just going to call my husband down here and make him listen to this. Just kidding.
I know. The reality is the science of the mind. Have you ever worried about something that never happens is not true?
Oh my gosh. Yes. We've all been through high school, right?
Have you? Okay. That means imagination is stronger than knowledge. Because intellectually, you know that probably isn't going to happen. But when you worry about something, you make it bigger than it is. Let's go. One of the questions you asked me before about confidence and nerves, how does it affect the horse? If you're nervous that your old trainer is going to watch you, that old trainer probably is just walking by and going to another student, and here in the imagination, they think they're more important than the other student, and they've made the worry zone go higher. So how does that affect the horse? It's because the nervous system does what to the body? It tightens and it tenses.
Yes.
Did I lose you?
Well, just keep going. You can keep going.
Okay. So the process of the brain is... Okay.
You're good.
The process of the brain...
You're good, Laura.
Actually...
It's just my internet, I think, is a bit laggy. But if I happen to get out or come back in, just I can hear you, but my video is not working very well. So it's great what you're talking about, and really important for people who are listening in. So keep going, and if things get really bad, our producer Randy will step in.
Okay. I really want to get to the point of how the horse
Yes.
is affected. Like one lady wrote in about her back being tense. So as my job is I would relax her back every time she sat in the saddle. We mentioned NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. That is the ability to use the brain by anchors and triggers. Like an anchor is a red light. Every time you see a red light, you don't go, oh, there's a red light. I think I need to lift up my foot and put on the brakes. You put on brakes. Your brain automatic responds. So we use this knowledge of how to train the brain to give a person, the human, the ability to make the changes by staying in the zone of what the right thoughts are. So that we program that every time you sit in the saddle, you breathe and you're relaxed. Are you going to ride better then? Of course. So the effect that we have on the horse is how our body, our nervous system is functioning. And because we function off of our nervous system, and that's how we do everything, our muscle memory, that leads us to the process how we can affect ourselves. How does that affect the rider? When we can get the brain doing it with confidence, it's a better process. I did a lot of studies and research on athletes, on anybody, humans doing anything. Technically, every nanosecond of time, a human is doing their personal best with what's in their brain. And it affects the human, the rider, by what the brain is thinking. If I believe I can do something, do you think it's easier to do it?
Yes.
If I'm afraid of doing something, then my nervous system has to take over to what? Self-preservation, protect me. So I really like to get to the root of things, of why a person has a difficulty. So the effect of the rider is the ability to believe they can do it, number one. Number two, to understand in that chart of the brain what programs in there causing them to do that. You know, I had one rider whose trainer told him that they were not athletic. And they had zero athletic ability. Now, mind you, this person was staged for the Olympics, and she kept screwing up because her core operating system didn't even believe she was athletic. So what I do is help reprogram that program that someone put in there. So if you really think about the brain like the computer I was talking about earlier, then it's a program. I feel really confident in being able to connect to the mindset and create the energy flow of what to do. All you need to do is creating that mindset attached to everything. And when we do that, it is that.
So I was going to say that this is some really, really important things. And how do you connect that? I guess you're going to be getting to that, but how do you erase those things that were planted in there by somebody? I mean, you said you had that the person that you had been told they're not athletic, and that was a major stumbling block for them. Well, how do you erase it? Do you erase it and then put something new in? I mean, I'm talking in layman's terms here because I don't know. But is it something that has to be erased from your brain, or is that something that you kind of rewire?
It's rewire. It's change. What we know about hypnosis is the ability to access the subconscious mind. We bypass the critical factor, and we can actually help a person change their programming. I want to add just one little thing here. I'm a performance. I help people with their performance in business and showing and whatever a person needs help with. I worked in the medical world for 8 years, almost 10 years, where they use hypnosis for, they've proven that with hypnosis, you take less anesthesia and you heal faster with surgeries. They use it in the dental chair. We use hypnosis medically across the board. And I worked in that field for many years. So I think right now I'm just building a framework of reference in your mind that it's a tool that has a real lasting effect, and it is workable. The reason I'm a hypnotist, let's go there real quick, is 45 years ago, I was very depressed and I attempted suicide several times. My mother decided that she needed to do something to help me, and she found a hypnotist. And I was hypnotized to reprogram whatever depression I was having and to rewire me to be happy. I just turned 65 last week, and I'm happy. I do everything, and I use hypnosis as a tool. It's just to help be positive. We live in a lot of negative things around us, and we have to kind of create that roadmap to what we do, because one negative thought takes 4 positive thoughts to override it.
Wow.
That's a lot of work. So it really, you are what you think. That's it.
So we do have this comment. Hypnosis used in pain management to actually reprogram the brain to feel less pain. So that's how powerful it is.
Yes. Pain management with hypnosis is huge.
Yeah.
It
So
really
getting
is.
back to, so what can we as riders do about it? I mean, is this something that we have to, is this something that we can do on our own prior to competition or prior to riding, or is it a pre-ride preparation, or is this something that we have to go to a clinic to see somebody like you?
It is the process of what we do in performance. How does it affect the performance? If you're nervous about the first jump, you're always going to be nervous about the first jump.
Uh-oh, we lost her. I'm not quite sure what happened, but we have lost our guest. I'm not sure if it was her internet or something. We were just doing some really great stuff, and now she's gone. We're going to just see if we can get her back on here. So I'm just going to send her an email.
And while you're doing that, I'd like to add that I have used neuro-linguistic programming and this type of approach for over 25 years. It changed my thinking. I discovered when I first got into this way of changing my basic programming that I would say at least 90% of my thoughts were negative or bringing me down. And that includes my personal life, riding horses or anything. And through the neuro-linguistic programming, I was able to slowly, because it does take time, because we are basically reprogramming our deeper thoughts. It does take time, but it's changed everything in my life. So I'm highly recommending what Laura's coaching here. Okay, I'm going to.
Well, I'm sorry about that, Laura. I don't know what happened. Did you, anyway, we were talking about what can riders do about it if they are feeling this way, and what's the process? How can we help people? So I think there's people that are listening here today or watching the replay that would love to know what they can do to help themselves. And Randy's shared her experience also, so we understand that it is something very valuable, and we would like to know how or what we can do.
Technically, what we do to help affect the performance is when I work with somebody, and I'm giving out to everybody here a free hypnosis sessions, the basic relaxation for equestrians, is that you learn to relax. You learn to use your brain to breathe and to manage. And one of the most important things that I have discovered in 20 years practicing as a hypnotherapist and 45 years in using hypnosis is that we have to realize that a thought creates a physical reaction. So if you have a thought of something that's negative, you're going to have a negative physical reaction. So if you're walking a course to jump the fences and you think of a difficult fence, or you think something's wrong, or you're going to create that, you have to go in a Pollyanna bubble or a Scarlett O'Hara bubble and think about the negative stuff tomorrow. And you have to really kind of stay positive if you want to have peak performance. That, I think, is the key. You know, personal best, what I was talking about a moment ago, is the ability to manage your thoughts so that you create that internal dialogue in what it's about. How come that is so important? The most important reason is because you are what you think. You have to remember that. And a thought creates a physical reaction. So if we go through the process, I also sending out, she has it so you can download an exercise for 7 tips to reboot your personal best. And what it does is it allows you to visualize your personal best so you can create it. It's like a dress rehearsal. You ever do a dress rehearsal before you go do something that you do? You know, it's important to realize your brain needs that roadmap. So what I created here is an easy way to kind of, this is an NLP technique. This is about visualization. This is about creating a way to communicate with your own brain. When you write something, when you visualize something, it's all about what you can do to help yourself is using your processing, because we're visual, auditory, kinesthetic human beings. Do you learn better visually? Do you learn better auditorially? I had one lady come to me. Her trainer told her to stop riding because she just could not get her to do what she was asking her to do. And in 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes of talking to this woman, I realized she was a very visual learner. She was not an auditory learner, and the trainer was screaming at her. You know, so once we opened up her channels, and she couldn't remember her right from her left. So I hypnotized her to remember her right from her left. And then I opened up her channels to be very auditory. Then I taught her how to ask her trainer, show me. We moved to the show me state, you know, show me. And her writing improved. In fact, I ran into her years later and she came over, just gave me a hug. She says, I'm having so much fun writing now that, and she still listens to my, back then were cassettes, you know, my MP3s now.
I was going to say cassette, you're dating yourself with that one.
I know. I told a kid the other day, be a little bit like Scarlett O'Hara. And she goes, who?
What?
What do I mean by that? It is the control of your thoughts, managing how to really get your own mindset to control your thoughts. And then it is, and what that does to affect you is to help you have the right processing. So when we create the unconscious mind to manage what is happening, then you choose the behaviors and the rituals that you want to do to manage that. There's something I add to everything I do, Laura, and this is so important because I work with a lot of different disciplines, people. I have learned, because in the beginning I would work so diligently and I knew I was doing a pretty good job and I knew they were really trying and they were really going out there to do it. But I started figuring out that most people don't get enough protein. They don't, their brains don't have the fuel to work. Does your car go anywhere if it doesn't have gas? Or if you have an electric car, does it go anywhere without electricity?
So there's
I went and studied with the doctor at University of Nevada.
Sorry to interrupt you. I got a weird, wicked lag here on my thing. But so you're saying there is a connection too between nutrition and your ability to perform.
Oh gosh, yes. You know, I sit in a chair all day and I need 80 grams of protein for my brain to function. I'll never forget in the beginning when I became. Well, I had carbs. I had ate sandwich for lunch and I was hypnotized this kid and I fell asleep. And I went, oh my gosh, I can't have practice and do that. So I went and learned why. So we need a balanced diet, but it's really pushing the protein so that the protein is how we function better. You're going to get enough carbs, you're going to get enough everything else, but to make sure of that, remember one high-end performance person was showing, and she called me. She says, I didn't remember my test today. And I said, well, what did you have for breakfast? She said, a cup of coffee and a bagel. I went, don't call me again. She said, well, you're not very nice. I said, well, if you don't have the fuel to do the job, man, my next process, Laura, do we feed our horses?
Oh my gosh, the balancing that goes into horse nutrition and supplements and making sure everything is properly done. Yes.
Don't we need to treat ourselves just like we treat our horses? I don't know. My daughter's horses, she showed Hunter Jumpers with Jimmy Toronto for years. That horse had more massages than I did and had more acupuncture and everything. But, you know, we take really good care of our horses, and we're actually the person orchestrating the horse to do what they're supposed to do. Shouldn't we have the same nutrients?
Yeah, I totally agree. And while we just here for a minute here, I just want to remind people, if you have any questions or comments, please put it in the comments here. We'd love to hear from you and love to hear your comments on that. Yeah, so let's get back to this about what the riders can do. They can take care of themselves. And do we have any exercises that the riders can do?
Yes. And I gave you a printout that you can download from Laura's site. It's called bilateral stimulation. It's a really good exercise. What it does, a friend of mine, Melissa Tiers from New York, she wrote it out this way. You can Google it. It's written about everywhere, but I actually like the way she did it. It's grabbing a ball or something. I tell people to use the keys, a pen, and toss it from one hand to the other. Now, what that does, and it helps anxiety, but it stimulates the brain to go from one side to the other. There are a lot of exercises in this. You can go on, Google it, and find all different ones. The tennis ball or a ball or your keys. And it activates both hemispheres of your brain. And it spreads the blood around and makes the brain function better. And that the managing that process and going back and forth, passing it back and forth, it helps the brain readjust and calm it down, because you can't do two things at the same time without the brain actually relaxing. So that's a really good exercise. Now, if you're in a saddle and you're riding and you feel something, you can actually just relax your right hand, your right elbow. I'm moving mine. You don't have to move it, but I'm just giving you the exercise. Hand, elbow, shoulder, shoulder, elbow, hand, and go back and forth. That's going to do the biostimulation of the brain and relax you too. And those are really simple. One, maybe before you get on the horse, one, if you feel something in the horse, and then first get in the saddle and get in your correct position. And then maybe do the exercises of the breathing back and forth. It's called bilateral stimulation. And what it does, it opens, it activates.
Sorry again. But what did you say that you could do when you get into the saddle, moving your hands? What was the process again of what you can do for you take a deep breath.
And then just breathe. Just, relax your hand or your right hand. Relax your right elbow. Relax your right shoulder. Relax your left shoulder. Relax your left elbow. Relax your left hand.
So you just go through a process.
And guess what the brain will do? Two things. Just by doing the exercises, you're breathing more and you're getting oxygen to your brain, which is going to help the brain's balance. And then just have to add this really important. Listening to my MP3 or anybody else, it's not all about me. I'm just a facilitator. There are a lot of wonderful hypnotists out there. Is being able to re-anchor the subconscious mind process, so that one of the anchors that's in all of my MP3s, every time you sit in the saddle, you breathe. So you're automatically going to have a different response. And that makes it work. That's how we are getting the performance for you to activate that performance. And that's what you can do for yourself. There's a comment.
Yes. Let's see. Patty. Thank you so much, Patty, for having this comment. How important is routine, consistency in preparation, rider and horse?
Laura, I teach a lot about routine, because I think having a routine creates the dress rehearsal. And what it does for the person is keeps the actual process, like a routine for a Grand Prix rider to do a course, a jumper. You know, they walk the course, and I really make my client students walk the whole course and visualize doing it and say how to do it correctly. Not one thing too, the subconscious mind does not hear don't or not. If I say don't think about the black horse, what are you thinking about?
Black horse.
It's the process of the black horse. So you want to see it, say it the way you want to do it, not you don't want to say how you don't want to do it. Because I've been taking some lessons myself, and I had a trainer up in Asheville, and he'd like to tell me everything not to do, and I kept doing everything he said not to do. And I finally said, I need to get you not to stop that. Avoid that word. Tell me what to do. And I started really doing a great job. I was taking sporting clay shooting, and it was such a transition. But if you learn that as a trainer, tell the student what to do, and that routine is going to train the brain to do it correctly. So think about jumping the fences correctly. Think about doing the test correctly. Think about what.
Oh my goodness, she's gone again. This is not very good. If you see me looking to the side here, I've got my notebook and I'm taking notes as she's saying things. And I wrote down that the subconscious mind doesn't hear the word don't. So that was really, as a instructor and coach, that was a really powerful thing for me to write down. So that's what I was doing there. And she's back again. This is interesting. I don't know what's happening, Laura. I apologize for that. But I was just telling people that I wrote down one of the things, if you see me kind of looking to the side, is I wrote down the subconscious mind doesn't hear the word don't. And that I'm going to take for sure to the bank to make sure that when I am teaching or helping somebody or training somebody, you have to make sure when you're teaching somebody to, oh, she's gone again, to use the way that you would like people. So don't round your shoulders should be rephrased as keep your shoulders straight. So try to keeping the things into a positive way as opposed to as a negative way. Thank you so much, Pat, for that comment. And Lindy also has a comment here. Kudos to Laura as an instructor. Oh, thank you, Lindy. I didn't know that. As you tend to use positive language, I rarely hear you say don't. Yes, that's because I had an excellent instructor who would not let us say don't and not let us say can't. That was not part of the vocabulary for that. But thank you so much, Lindy. That's very nice for you to say that. Okay, you're back. I'm not sure what's happening. Laura, are you okay? Are you okay? Yes, I can hear you. That's great. So we do have this is what we were talking about last. And then along those lines, there's something else here, the workbook. And if you want to download the workbook, 7 tips to reboot your personal best. How would you like to talk about how? Oh my goodness. I'm not quite sure what's happening there. So if you'd like to download this workbook, there is a link in the comments. We'd love for you to work through this 7 tips to reboot your personal best. And when Laura comes back, as I know that she will, we will go through that again. And here she is back again. So we're just going to put her back in there. Add to stream. There we go. I'm afraid to say anything now, Laura, because you...
I'm back.
Yes. Thank you for coming back.
Can you put that other chart back up with the brain? I mean, the
sure. Oh, with the brain, yes,
I
will.
People through the mind. This one, that one right there. Let me describe what we do in the brain is we have visualizations of what we want to do. You know, I'm sure with, you know, Jane Savoya has great books out there. She does a lot of neuro-linguistic programming too. A lot of people do visualizations. The visualization is the internal mindset of what you want to create. So it's a mental dress rehearsal. When we know we want a mental dress rehearsal, we can create what that looks like. Then I have people write down, get clear, describe it, what it is you want to do. And then when you describe it, you create a different platform in your brain because you're using different areas of the mind. So you write it, you visualize it, and you go through it because we're going to create what that looks like. So that's number 1, the visual. Then you have number 2 is that clear mindset in your words. What would be your personal best? What would be your description of what you want to achieve? This is really important. What you make sure you do is say it in the positive. You know, if this is where you really don't want to say, I don't want to miss the first jump. I want to have a clear jump. You know,
right.
It's really
I will ride to the first jump properly.
Yes, I am riding to the first jump properly because Will still puts it out there some.
I am sitting up straight and looking forward to my next fence. I am putting 4 strides in between the jumps.
Yes, yes. So then we go to number 3 down here. It's on. Number 3 is create habits that will move you towards your personal best. Now, when I talk about this, it goes back to making sure you've had breakfast or you've had protein. Now, people tell me, Laura, I can't eat before I go ride. Find a protein shake you like. You know, we use one called Premier Protein, and that on the Premier Protein website, there's a calculator that will give you some sort of guesstimate on how much protein you need. I've checked with a lot of doctors because legally, I guess I'm not supposed to give nutrition suggestions, but I am anyway because you need it.
And maybe even a protein bar or something.
Protein bar. So my son, he doesn't like to really eat breakfast, so he uses the protein shake creamer for his coffee. So he's getting protein. The protein shake I drink every morning before I go to work is 30 grams of protein and 160 calories, and it works. It makes me feel good. I function. My brain works. My brain has to work all day. So when you think about your habits for your personal best, you want to have a habit pattern of always being on time or being early before your class. You want to have a habit of staying away from negative people before you ride. You want to have a habit of, you know,
knowing your course properly.
Knowing your course properly. You create those habits. Quiet time before you go on the ring, whatever it is. You have to create your it, but write it down. Now, number 4. This is more about, that is the habits, but we want rituals and triggers. Now, remember, I taught you about triggers. That's an anchor to the subconscious mind that you start doing. So you every time I get ready to show, I block out other people, or finding what works in your environment. You know, if there's somebody in the barn that you don't get along with, avoid that person before you show. If there's whatever it is.
the difference between a habit and a ritual or a behavior?
Okay, so that's a good question. What we know about habits, they're done exactly the same way all the time. What we know about behaviors and rituals, it's choosing what that behavior needs to be. Like, I know that before I go on a speaking engagement, or I go, 'cause I do a lot of teaching all over, I make sure my rituals are that I have my protein with me. So I was traveling around going to California and Seattle before the virus happened. So I actually took my shakes in my suitcase so that I didn't have to get to another city that I don't know the stores and not be floundering for my protein before I have to be at the barn to teach and see all the clients there, because I'm going to a strange place. I'm going, I've been hired to go all kinds of places. So I carry my protein shake. So my ritual and my behavior, I know that that's going to be with me, and I know that I'm going to be okay getting my protein. Do you understand the difference?
Kind of, yeah. It's like the behaviors or rituals kind of support your good habits.
Yes, exactly. And then because like if I have a good habit of saying, make sure you have enough protein before you show, and then I fly to Seattle, Washington, rent my car, drive to the barn, and I've had no protein for 12 hours, my behavior has not kept up with my ritual of making sure my brain functions. And they were really nice. They had bagels out and coffee. I had 12 hours of clients that day. I couldn't eat a bagel. So in my suitcase was my protein shake.
Nice.
I would be really asleep. All right. So that kind of give you what I'm talking about.
Yes. Excellent.
So then the next one is choosing anchors that will support those habits. Now, remember the anchors, choosing what that anchor is. So, okay, let's use what I was just saying. Every time I travel, either the protein shake room or it's in my suitcase. I just flew to Denver a couple weeks ago. I had the shakes delivered to the hotel room because I was going to be in the hotel room hypnotizing every day. And then we create to support that. What would be another one? When you take the reins to this horse, when you have to hold the reins to breathe, when you train your brain for a new anchor or something, a new behavior, you have to tell yourself you're doing it. Like, okay, so when you started to drive a car,
this is one that I get my students to do.
A red light.
So here's one that I get my students to do is to every time they land off a jump to breathe out. So when they're landing, they go because they hold their breath on course. So when they land, think of breathing out, because once you breathe out, you always have to breathe in, right? So is that what you're talking about? Is that kind of like an anchor?
Yes.
If you want to create the habit of breathing on course, that would be.
You start creating.
Ah, my goodness. This is interesting that we're having some challenges here, and Laura is having I think she's having some internet issues. We're going through the Mindset Matters. This is the workbook, and there is a link to that workbook in the comments, and we'll put that in again so that you can get this. And we're going to go back to here. That was awesome. So, Laura, when you come back in, is it you just kind of refresh your browser, or you have to reload it all again?
To get back in on you?
Yeah.
It says I have full internet.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Okay. So this is where we were. This is choose anchors. So we kind of got that figured out. And then we move on to oh my goodness. Now we move on to step 6, which is choose language that that will support those habits. So we're going to put that in again on the in the chat. I'm going to just get this here. Laura King to download. We're just going to do this. I'm just going to copy and put that in so that people can see it. So you're also having a discount to go for a session with you. And if you want to download that information, it's all here too, but we'll put that up. There we go. Okay. So again, let's try it one more time. Laura, we've talking about the anchors, and now we're going on to step 6.
Which is choosing the language that will support your habits. To start thinking positive thoughts. I am a confident writer. I handle stress effectively. So our language creates so much about us. Have you ever been around somebody that says everything drives them crazy, or they have negative self-talk about a lot of things?
Yes.
Everything you say has a mental, physical result. So it's really helping yourself create a way to think of your words, right? Think about what you say. Is it negative? Do you think negatively? Do you speak negatively? It's the ability to change that protocol across the board. And when you do that, you are rewriting that script, and you're able to change that by your words. You are what you think.
So is it really that simple? Think positive thoughts.
Yes, it is. It takes practice. Yes. Say it how you want it. Practice it. People say things, the number one thing that I find is so difficult for people is they think cutting people down, being negative is funny. It's humorous. So you make a joke about something, it actually goes into the person's brain and makes them feel lesser than. And that takes a lot of work to override. Like if someone says, you have big feet, then you worry about having big feet for the rest of your life.
That's true. Yep. What's it our parents would say, or at least my folks would say, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Too bad that's not true in today's world with the kids today. But anyway, we need to keep reinforcing that and working on that.
Yes. Okay, so we only got up to step 6. So let's go back to step 7. Okay, so step 6 is choose language that will support those habits.
And then 7 is design the environment to set yourself up for success. That's being around like-minded people, having positivity around you, really working on that, avoiding the negative.
Sometimes that's the hardest part.
It's the mindset that matters.
It's getting yourself into the right environment. Sometimes that is the hardest part because I don't know why, but yes, exactly. So this is Summit. This is your webpage, Summit Hypnosis and Wellness. And we do have this too, the Summit Hypnosis and Wellness. You can use this coupon code, and this also, you can download this, put the link in the comments to get 25% off of a personal session. Excellent. Thank you so much for that. So here's the,
and this is all
yes. So this is,
and I sent an MP3.
Pardon?
Laura, the MP3 they can download. Let me just teach you how to listen to it. It's good to go to sleep with it at night. It helps you sleep better.
Okay.
You can do a power nap with it. It just helps you relax. It has a lot of good anchors in it for sitting in the saddle, breathing. It has a lot of good reprogramming of changing your self-talk to be more positive. And it's a good start to learn what this relaxation is, what hypnosis is.
Okay. So if you would
And
like
it really
to,
does help elevate.
yes, if you would like to download that, I'm going to put the link in the comments. Just pasting it in there.
Awesome.
And that is the MP3, the workbook that we just talked about with the 7 steps and the discount code. Go to that link. I did put it in the comments, so you should be able to just click on that link. Clink. That's a comment, but clicking on the link is a clink. And so we've got
click.
Yeah, we got 5 minutes left here, and I would like to know if anybody has any questions or comments. We'd love to hear what you have. In the meantime, I do have something. The question is this is a question that I got from one of my sites, how to not be terrified I'm going to ruin my horse. Is this something that the workbook that you have, is that something that can help this person who says she doesn't want to be terrified that she's going to ruin her horse?
I didn't hear the question.
The question is how to not be terrified that I'm going to ruin my horse.
Oh, yes. That is a personal process that you have to have the competence to talk to your trainer, know that you're not going to ruin the horse by doing the things that you are instructed to do, and just trust that you're going to make the right decisions. And really, that's between, the trainer and the student to figure out what is the right thing to do with the horse, and the right decision, is the horse the right horse for you? Like, I can't go out, I haven't ridden in years, and just pick a horse out of anywhere and assume he's going to be trained for me. He's going to do what I need him to do. You have to have some instruction from somebody that knows what they're doing.
Perfect. So, and here's another one. I'm just going to read all of it at once because this person it's kind of a 2-parter, and I think they're related. How do I have confidence when I ride my horse? And can you tell me how do I stop my horse from bucking when I ride her? So I'm thinking those two things are related. Okay, Laura, are you still here? Did you hear my question? Oh, she's not here. All right. So we are coming to the end here. I'm just going to wind things up and thank you, Laura. Oh, here she's coming. We're just going to wind up here, Laura. I did have the question. I'm not sure if you heard the question or not. Did you hear my question about how do I have confidence Okay, so here's the question. How do I have confidence when I ride my horse? And can you tell me how do I stop my horse from bucking when I ride her?
I didn't hear it.
Oh, you can't hear it? So I just want to check to see if it's me or if it's
No.
Laura. Are you done, Laura? Okay, so we're going to wind things up here.
Yes, I couldn't hear it.
You couldn't hear the question? Okay, so the question is... I
couldn't hear the question.
I'm going to repeat it once more here. We got just a little bit more time. How do I have confidence when I ride my horse? And can you tell me how to stop my horse from bucking when I ride her?
The bucking. It is, if it's a nervous response to the rider, then you have to be more competent in the saddle. If the horse has an issue, I would direct you to your trainer to see what the horse needs to have done to help change his behavior.
Excellent.
That's my response.
I think that's very good. You kind of cover off all bases. If it's the saddle pinching the horse, it's going to be totally something different than if the riders, causing it from lack of confidence. So if you are, thank you so much, everybody. I'm just going to wind things up now because it is almost 10:30. I'm just going to wind things up. Thank you so much, Laura, for all your insight. This is really good. And I'm hoping that you'll be able to come back again because I really love, there's so much information here and I certainly enjoyed it. And I hope that everybody else enjoyed it that is watching here today or watching on the replay. Laura, do you have any final comments that you'd like to send with people out today?
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And now
Thank you.
go use this stuff and go hug your horse. Thank you. Oh, it looks like we have another comment here. Great info today. Thank you both. Thank you so much, Lindy. I really appreciate it. Bye now. See you next week.